So today I'm going to show you how to cape a deer properly. Most people, when they bring in a deer to the taxidermy shop, will do this. They'll skin it out, they'll tube down the neck, and then they'll have this big old chunk of neck meat in there, which would be nicer if it was down to here, less waste. But the best spot to cut when caping, skinning, this is the front leg. It's already been skun out. There is a hair line where this white hair meets the brown hair. You want to keep your knife on that hairline, and then get all the way beyond the armpit here. On both sides here, you can see that's the brisket. Most people already know how to do that. I'm not going to go into too much detail there. I'm going to show you how to take the cape off the skull. Okay, first, there's a couple different incisions that most taxidermists will use. They'll use a short Y or a long Y. This is a long-haired deer, so I'm going to do the long Y. Basically, your cut is going to be about 2 to 3 inches behind your antlers, and you're going to stay right down the center of the spine. You can kind of see where this black hair is right here. You're going to keep that as centered as possible. So I'm going about 2 to 3 inches behind here. And this deer is still partially froze, so a little bit, might be a little bit of a bugger. Now we made that cut down the center. You can see all the way through here. Always cut from underneath like this, because you're gonna cut through the leather before you cut through any hair. This guy's got a little bit of a scar up here for some reason. I'm sure it's from fighting or rubbing on trees. So now once we have that center cut down, I'm going to take it up to the table and I'll show you the tools that we use for the rest. So here we have our deer. We've made the incision down the center of the spine. Everybody has a different way of doing this. These are the things, this is how I do it. I mean, as long as you get the hide off the skull and you don't put a bunch of holes in it, that's the goal. Before I go any farther, I am actually going to measure from the corner of the eye, the front corner of the eye, to the tip of the nose, just for measurements for when we order our forms. Some guys will just go directly through the back here. I like to start on the mouth. And if you look here, we need all this inner lip that curls all the way down towards the jaw, or the gum line here. So we're gonna cut all the way along, all the way back. It's easier to go this way, in my opinion. And once you get, I'm gonna skin it, basically I'm gonna skin it this far from the front. That way when we get it here, it just falls off and we know we have all the nose and all the inner lip that we need. So here you can see I'm starting to come into the cartilage here of the nose. Just keep your knife close to the bone. You're not going to be able to cut through the bone there anyway, so just keep peeling it back. Now I'm getting to the end of the, right up in here, about 2.5 inches back from the front. You're going to get to where it angles kind of up, and you're going to get to the hard part of the bone. You just got to carefully cut through there. Okay, we're beyond the nose here now, but now we have the bottom lip. We need to save all this. You can see where I'm making that cut, right along the gum line. We're doing that all the way on both sides here. And here it's pretty easy to cut because you're in bone, so you can't go any deeper than that. Just got to keep peeling. Guys are going out west and they're bringing in deer or elk or moose. You have to have this done. You can either get it done out by another taxidermist out of state, or what I would prefer, because I run the taxidermy shop here in Detroit Lakes, Minnesota, is for everybody to learn, and then you have more options of where you take your deer, or elk, or moose. Okay, so we've got it skinned about here. Now I'm gonna start making that Y incision. This is where we started with our larger knife, the start of the long Y incision. So now when I say Y, because we're gonna go here and we're gonna make a Y to each antler. And when I make this cut, I like to try to make sure the points meet up. It's just easier later for sewing it up. And this is the tool I like to use. You can order, they have like a Havalon knife or a Piranha, the changeable blades like this. It's just far easier to cape a deer with a nice small sharp knife. Some guys, when they get into this antler area, will actually use a screwdriver, and they'll stick it in here and they'll pry up the hide. I've never needed or seen the use for doing that. As long as you can get these cuts close to the antler burr and not leaving a lot of material along the antler burr, you'll be fine. So I will pull the leather away like this, go under a little bit, and then go along it. Then I'll go under on both sides here. You can see how once you go under the leather a little bit, it kind of pops up. Okay, now up front here. And go under. See how that's peeling out nicely. And once you get to about half to 3/4 around the burr here on both sides, then we come in from the back side here. So here we have the back side here, and we're doing the same thing. We're going all the way around. So here we can see the start of the ear wants to pivot right in here. So we're gonna just get this cut as tight to the bone as possible, and we're going to You're gonna see the ear canal here shortly. Right here it is. See the ear canal? Now it's much easier to pull this hide around the rest of the antlers, so that's what we're gonna do here. See, I go up underneath it, it breaks it loose, and we're free all the way around. Now once you get here, slow down, because this is where I see a lot of people will put holes in the cape right here on the back side of the eye. We've got this skin down to the back of the eye. Here's the eye. Now, to help prevent putting a hole in the back here where most people put the hole, put your finger in the eye. Hook the hide, and actually we're putting your finger in the hide and pulling it back to create that separation from the bone. See, you can see right here is the back of that eye socket, the bone, and we want to keep that as close to that bone as possible. And now my finger, you can see right there, you're going to cut through, and you see the eye right there. Once you cut through that bone, or through that eye, the inner eyelid there, you can actually hook it from this side. Now another spot a lot of people will put a hole in is right here. This is the tear duct, right in front of the tear duct, in between, or in front of the eye and the tear duct. A lot of people put a hole here. So you really want to make sure that blade is tight to the bone. If you put a hole in the tear duct itself, it's not that big a deal. Most of that skin gets tucked fairly deep. Especially you'll find with mule deer and elk, those tear ducts are very deep. But you can see, here's the tear duct. You're just slowly peeling that and trying to keep your knife as tight to that bone as possible. See, we're beyond that tear duct without putting a hole in it. Now we're going to go to the other side here. Now here's your eye. Put your finger through. Get this free a little bit here yet. Here's that bone. Now we're through the eye. Once again, we're keeping that knife tight to that bone in front here. Gonna try to cut this tear duct out without making a hole in it. And this is far easier with a sharp knife. Do not try to do it with a dull knife and expect not to put a hole in it. See how now once I'm right here, we're all of a sudden going to be completely free because we've already gone in from the front through the nose. And then you can actually pull it right off. And bam, cape is off, and I would roll this up, bag it, double bag it, get it in a cooler. You can have ice on it, just don't make sure there's no water getting to the cape, otherwise you start getting hair slippage. Next, real quick, I'm going to show you how to cut the antlers off the correct way. We now have the cape off the skull. But in order to bring this in across state line, we have to have the skull plate cut off the skull, free of any brain matter. So we're going to make a cut straight down in between the eye and the antler burr, straight in this direction, like this. And then we're gonna come from the top. I'm going to make a cut straight this way. So basically we're making a 90-degree corner right in this area. Some of you guys in the field, you can do it with a handsaw. In the shop, I have the luxury of using a jigsaw, or sawzall, I mean. All right, you got a weak stomach, look away. Here's the brain. This has to be popped out of here. All this has to be cleaned up. What I'll do now is I'll sprinkle a little borax and a little bit of salt in here. The borax will kill any bacteria. The salt will dry it out. Also, I'll clean off this little bit of meat. If you're hunting out west, get it as clean as you can so you don't have a bunch of flies laying eggs, and it's kind of gross when you got crawling little worms all over stuff. But basically that's it. I mean, now I've been suggesting everybody, you know, that hunts out of state, you just got to learn. They're not going to make the restrictions less. So it's just a good idea if you're planning on hunting in other states to get them looking like this and looking like this. So hope you enjoy, hope you learned something.